What's happening, all you huntsmen and huntresses out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with Rwby Volume 7, Episode 11, titled Gravity. And, wow, that dual meaning behind that title, because we are in the anti-gravity arena, well, the version of the Amity arena where we have Ironwood having a showdown with Arthur Watts. It's pulse bounding, it's exciting, it's incredible. You know, I love the way that Ironwood uses one of his pistols in order to propel himself, and the other pistol is in order to attack. So I love that. That's the most interesting way of dual wielding that I've ever seen in my life. Whereas Arthur, he's just controlling the Amity arena with his hacking, with his special rings that are able to hack in and give him complete control. He's switching the gravity around, trying to dodge Ironwood. It is an amazingly choreographed fight. Like, I love this showdown. It is fantastic. But ultimately, they come back to the center stage where Ironwood and Arthur grapple a bit. Arthur, voices his grievances over how pissed he is that Pietro ended up gaining the backing of Ironwood instead of him for his penny project. So Arthur has just been bitter this entire time. But ultimately, he's able to trick Ironwood and get his arm trapped in one of Arthur's force fields, using it sacrificing some of his rings. So he feels that because Ironwood would basically have to just scrape a massive amount of skin off of his hand in order to get out of there, Ironwood wouldn't dare sacrifice one of his last remaining arms, his last bit of humanity, in order to actually go after Arthur. But Ironwood does just that, scraping Arthur's face across the floor, giving him this nasty burn on the side of his face. And he's just like, Ironwood just like, I'll do whatever it takes in order to stop Salem. And oddly enough, Arthur's okay with that. He's perfectly fine with Ironwood trying to stop Salem and hopefully succeeding. So it really begs the question, was Arthur always completely on the side of Salem, or was it just that he had no other options in the end? That Salem had saved him from whatever incident he was supposed to have died by, and so he swore his loyalty to her because he knew that she couldn't be defeated. It raises a lot of questions about Arthur Watts's character and his role in all of this. Meanwhile, the showdown with Tyrion, with facing off against Crow, Robin, and Clover, is also a fantastic fight. Just seeing all these characters going in, it goes a lot better than the last time Crow went up against Tyrion. Mostly because, well, he has more experienced help. They're all pros right there, going up against a serial killing madman. And let's not get it twisted. Tyrion does a fantastic job of fighting the three of them off. But there was only a matter of time before he just got too cocky, and that's what ends up getting him tagged by Robin Hill. Um, so he's taken down. Everyone gets in communication with Ironwood. Ironwood, manages to get Arthur's bag. However, he ends up seeing something that completely stuns him. Meanwhile, Winter is trying to evacuate Atlas Academy, only for her to be contacted by Ironwood, questioning if anybody has actually managed to gain access to Atlas that they're not aware of. Something has gotten Ironwood shook, and that sends Winter running off to check on the Winter Maiden, which plays into Cinder's hand as she's been observing Winter and is desperate to go after her and find out where the Winter Maiden is located. Penny also gets a call to report back to Atlas, as well as the Ace Ops, as well as the two teams, Rwby and John's team. So they end up heading back to Ironwood's office while John goes and his group go off to check on Oscar. But Ironwood shows that he has gained one of the glass version of the chess piece, the Queen. And, that's Salem's calling card. It's an alert that Salem has been playing them this entire time, that she's already gained access to Amity, that this whole event could have been orchestrated by her in order to get their guard shifted. And, they Ruby realizes that what the piece is made of, that is made of black glass, a trademark of Cinder, which alerts them that Cinder is here as well, which could only mean so many other people. Hazel could be there as well for all they know. But Ironwood has a deeper question. How did Robin Hill know about the situation with Amity Coliseum? Where Yang tells him that she was the one who alerted Robin about the situation, which, just pisses off the Aesops, who question their loyalty. That how could they do that? How could they let them go? It's not so much a matter of them, deciding what's right. It's a matter of them not following orders, something that the Ace Ops take a lot, and I mean a lot, of issue with. That's their whole reason d'etre. It is that they are people who follow orders to the letter. They do not question orders. And now that's starting to come into conflict with the beliefs of Team Ruby and everyone else. But whole argument is interrupted when a messenger from Salem pops out of Arthur's bag, showing just how much foresight there actually was here. As Salem presents herself to everyone, to Team Ruby for the first time, they had that vision of her, a few volumes ago, back in volume 5, I think it was, at the, towards the conclusion there, where Emerald had, given them this picture of Salem, basically. But now here she is, not in the flesh, but in another form. And, she says that they kind of played into her hands, while Ruby takes a defiant stance, saying that, they will beat them back. They've taken down Tyrion, they've taken down Arthur, but Salem says that was all according to plan. They were simply there as a vanguard to set the stage for her arrival. She is on her way, she is coming, and she will take them all down. And so she gives Ironwood an ultimatum that if they hand over the maidens as well as the relics, the people will be fine, which Ironwood, of course, completely shuts her down on. Now, Ruby says that ultimately they've seen everything because of Jin. They know that while she can't be killed, that doesn't mean that she's completely unfallible. She has failed in the past, and she'll fail now. But Salem then says something to Ruby that really rustles her. That ultimately, that's something that Ruby's mother said as well, which completely took me off guard. I figured that ultimately Salem had to have had a hand in the death of Ruby's mother, but now we're given confirmation that yes, Salem directly had a hand in the death of Ruby's mother, as well as probably going after Maria Calavera as well, taking down the Silver Eyed people who were probably the best bet at actually doing any real harm to Salem. And this overloads Ruby. This sends her into an emotional spiral right then and there. And Salem feeling that, oop, I snap back at you, you snap back at me, I do it one better, and I'm out. She pieces right the fuck out there. And Ruby just breaks down, crying over the thought of her mother and what this ultimately means. But the Aesops are more concerned over the fact that, wait, Salem's on her way. Wouldn't our perimeter alarms alert us to that? But they realize because of the commotion, they might not have been able to be informed. Or it's even possible that Arthur Watts hacked into their system, taking all their outside perimeter alarms down, or even they were destroyed by the sheer forces that Salem is sending on them. So it could be a number of reasons. They have no idea. They're completely in the dark. And this just riles up Ironwood even more with the thought that, just how desperate their situation has become, with him even saying that, he has sent Winter off to gain the powers of the Winter Maiden, as well as saying that they'll completely lock up the relics, despite the fact that he said that Team Ruby and everyone else could keep at least the lamp. He's changed his mind because of the fact that he feels he can't trust any of them. They lied to him about the lamp. They disclosed confidential information to Robin Hill. He's completely unable to trust them at this point. I don't blame him, but at the same point, it's just like, dude, come on. Like, you're human as well. You have to make hard decisions. You should be able to understand that. As someone who has withheld information from others before, yeah, you don't like it too much when it's withheld from you. But, that's a kind of a moot point, as he's completely of the belief that what they need to do is kind of just cut their losses. Just take every, just take the Atlas and use the relic to rise it high enough, so that Salem cannot get to the Winter Maiden. She can't get to the relics. This was actually a plan that Ozpin had way back when. And so he's decided that, Amity has been compromised. Their best bet is just to rise themselves up, keep them at a distance. But Blake realizes that would mean that the people of Mantle would be left behind. Evacuations have not been completed. Now that would leave hundreds upon thousands of people to perish, basically. But Ironwood feels that as a necessary sacrifice, that ultimately this has been one big calculated plan by Salem, and he's done losing. But Ruby tries to convince him that we were so close. Communication with the world, getting everyone on the same page, that was the best option in her mind. But ultimately, Ironwood feels that, save a few people and that's good enough, even if it means only saving themselves. And while Team Ruby doesn't agree with that they feel that it would be better to stand and fight and continue to save as many people as they can instead of just cutting everyone else off. The Ace operatives don't believe that so much. They feel that ultimately they will run ragged over the events of this day, and that anything more would completely decimate them, and it's senseless to just keep fighting the way that they have been. But Ironwood also ends up telling them, as they try to fight back on all of this, that he will be declaring martial law and he will just completely shut everything down. The council's orders will be null and void at this point. And ultimately, he feels that Team Ruby is the only thing standing in his way from completing his plans, from going forward and saving the people he feels are actually able to be saved. Ultimately, Ruby ends up receiving a message from Jean with saying that there's trouble that there's some kind of problem, there's some kind of issue. But Ruby then sends out a massive call to as many people as she can about everything that Ironwood is doing. That Salem is coming, Ironwood's going to declare martial law, he's going to leave Mantle to basically die, and this call goes out to Jean, who knows what issue he's going up against, to Penny as well as Winter, who, it's the question of which side they will ultimately be on in all of this, as well as to Crow, Clover, Tyrion, and Robin. And with Robin and Crow, of course, not being okay with any of this. But Clover, you could see the gears moving in his head. Tyrion's just loving the chaos. But Clover, he's weighing everything that he hears. And it's pretty obvious where he's going with this. As Ironwood shuts off the communication and ultimately decides that as of now, with everything going on, Team Ruby is under arrest. But they say they won't go without a fight, and Ironwood understands that, and so do the Ace Ops, as showdown between the Ace Ops and Team Rwby starts. Meanwhile, we come to find out that the whole situation that John was trying to get across to Rwby and her team was that ultimately Oscar is gone, and it seems there was a massive fight in the process. Where is Oscar? Yo, what an intense episode. So much happened in this episode. It felt so heavy. And that's why it feels like Gravity, an amazing title. Because, yo, the gravity of this episode is wild. It was wild. It continues to be wild. It is out of control. It is insane. It is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. The showdown between Ironwood and Arthur Watts was so well done. Just, yo, say what you want about the team and their action sequences. Yeah, Monty was amazing, but what the team continues to be able to do now at this point is phenomenal. Like, I never would have thought they would have managed to just get it so good. They've really come a long way, and I'm just so blown away by the fight sequences nowadays. And I continue to really just dig it. I will still continue to miss Monty, but man, you guys are doing a bang up job. Although I don't know how I feel about Ironwood just having a revolver, about Arthur just having a revolver. It's just like, yeah, they use them in cool and interesting ways, but it's just like, but they should also be regular weapons. The staple of this series, it is also a gun. I'm missing out on that, but it was fun nonetheless. And the showdown between Crow and, you know, Tyrion and all that, just great fight scenes. But it really does raise the question. It's just like, what if Winter gains the power of the Winter Maiden? What then? What happens at that point? Like, what? And Penny, who will she side with? Ironwood, who is the reason why she was created, or Rwby, who is her best friend? Like, and Salem. Finally, Team Rwby comes face with Salem. It took 7 goddamn seasons for them to finally come face to face with the big bad of this series. And man, it felt like it was worth the wait because, Salem could have dropped the beans like a long time ago, but just finding out in this way where Rwby was her most defiant towards Salem, that she felt like she understood everything she needed to know about Salem, and only for it to be like, oh, you don't know everything there is to know. And it's just like, yo, what an intense moment. Just, just wow. I am just so blown away by this moment and this episode. It was fantastic. But what was your favorite moment in this episode? Just, mine was definitely the fight scenes and the confrontation with Salem. That was bar none the best. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you like about this episode? What did you dislike? How did you feel about the turn from being allied with the Aesops to going up against the Aesops? The synergy of everyone going completely turning to shit. Just tell me in the comment section below. If you like this review, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you never miss out on another Rwby episode review. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.